Hey, good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to the February Water Sewer and Engineering Committee meeting. I'll take a quick attendance with Town Supervisor Aaron Cassidy Dorian, Superintendent of Water and Sewer Matt Yetto, and our Comptroller Kara Parks. Our first agenda item is to approve the December and January committee meeting minutes, but we again do not have a quorum, so we'll hold that over for the March meeting. And we'll move into attorney's items. Obviously, Elena is not here, but Matt, do you have anything to report on that?
The only item on here was, an MOU that we had drafted with, Capel, to give them some of the information that we're looking for as far as mercury sampling as part of our mercury minimization plan at the sewer plant. It's voluntary, but because it's Capel, it requires a little bit of red tape. So we made some minor changes to what they had sent to us. I sent it back to them. We get it back before before the deadline for this month. We'll have it on the agenda. If not, we'll just keep carrying it until it's ready. It's very close.
I mean, there's only a time frame on when we have to do the sampling or when they have to give us the sample data, right?
No, it's just that every year I have to send a report to the state saying what we've done to help minimize mercury in our water. And
Those are the data for.
yeah, and it's also something to show good faith that we're working with our industrial customers to monitor and make sure that they're not sending us any mercury. That was the only item that I had for attorneys.
Engineering.
So we still have an opening in the engineering department for the either a deputy superintendent of water and sewer or a senior engineer, depending on qualifications of applicants. Still interviewing, and I may or may not have a candidate. I'm waiting to hear back from someone who has expressed some interest. And if I have that positive feedback before the meeting, I'll pass it along to the board.
When's he supposed to get back?
I was told a couple days.
That's when you're supposed to be back.
Yeah,
I hope he's just making you sweat.
Your phone could be ringing right now.
let's see what else. And then the next item is an independent contractor agreement for this would be to bring Kathy Persons back
Oh, right.
to train just for the transition with our new staff member in the engineering department. Kathy's working on the details, and I think it's cleaner and easier if he does it as an independent contractor rather than come back as a part-time employee.
Yeah,
And we will use her as needed. And
I think it's easier for us too, really.
It'll make it simpler for her in the retirement system.
So is she putting in terms of an agreement together and submitting it to us? Is that?
she's gonna, we're gonna hear back what she's going to ask.
I think we probably do. I think we need to.
Just the hourly rate.
Yeah. We've done it a couple other times with other retirements back. And it's just so that they're available in case we need them. And in this case, Kathy will come back and spend a probably not a full time by any means, but just be with Deb when she needs the assistance. And just be more comfortable and maybe clean out a few of the remaining files as well.
That's nice. I'm glad she's able to do that.
Yes. Definitely help the transition.
Yes, there's a lot of details in that job. Next, water and sewer maintenance.
Speaking of which, is anybody taking minutes? Or should I?
I'm gonna do
You're
it from
gonna do it,
the
yep.
recording.
Yeah. All right. Speaking of Kathy.
Let's see. Yeah, with the appointments, maintenance worker, we've been doing interviews with applicants. When I may have an applicant for the meeting. If I do have one, I will pass that information on to Elena for the resolution. We still have, I believe, 3 openings in the group. We did fill one last month and he already started working. He's doing well.
So we have two after that guy?
We have three.
You
We
can still
had
have
four.
three. Okay,
Four.
gotcha. Okay.
And I didn't have it on the agenda, but there was some talk of discussion with, we had talked about how we share information with the public when we have an emergency.
Oh, shoot, you're right. I should have put that on for, we can add it, we can talk about it right now. So we're trying to figure out, so I don't want to call it haphazard because I think we have sort of a loose definition of when we post things on the website versus Facebook. I don't know how else it's been done in the past. I think at one point there was like a phone tree, but we also have access to the recording that you get when you come in or when you call into the emergency line or the water and sewer department. So I feel like if we could draft something up that sort of says, if we have a water main break that affects X number of homes or more, then we would follow this procedure. And then do sort of like if it's under 15 or 20 homes, then we rely only on interactions. Here's where it gets complicated. Some of the mains, correct me if I'm wrong, when they break are, by the size of them or where they're located, whether or not it's going to have an impact on people's water color or things like that. Like you could guess, right?
Depending on how violent the break is, if it's moving a lot of water, it can sometimes cause the water to get stirred up.
Like the river in my front.
That
That was a really good one. I felt like,
6-inch pipe.
really?
Yeah.
That was a lot of water, wasn't it? It seemed like it anyway. I don't know. I don't have any context for it. So I feel like the discipline. No, but there are only 10 of us.
We've always tried to focus the information to people directly affected.
Yes,
We would hand deliver notices
I got a big blue notice.
saying, water will be off in so many hours. And there's a phone number on there if someone wants to call. But we get some people that comment after the fact, or they see it on social media that one person said, hey, there's a water break here, and then they share it, and then they wonder why they're not being told about it.
And they think it's affecting their house, but it's not.
So,
So,
I think through the UCC, we have access to Rapid Notify, which is like a phone recording. So like an auto dialer. So we could record a message.
can we do that?
This
for them?
is,
I don't know. I feel
Like
like
you
yours
said,
might ask.
this is Supervisor Cassidy Dorian calling to notify you of a water main break at such and such address. The following addresses are affected.
Got it.
Call water and sewer if you have any questions. And then the UCC can limit that by neighborhood. So like I know when I worked there, we had, so like we would do it a lot, like when the water levels in the river were rising, we notify the stockade of potential flooding. Or if there was some sort of mass incident in Mount Pleasant, we would send out a recording to that neighborhood. So, stay inside your house, there's danger, police activity. So I wonder if that's something, I mean, I don't know if the neighborhoods are set up. I know for the city they are. I don't know if it's like geocoded
okay.
for the town.
I
But it wouldn't, I mean,
Jordan about can you say this or that? You're not going to. So I feel like,
I can reach out and just ask and get some details
yeah, because I'm thinking, how do they get the numbers for the rapid?
for 911. Like through the 911 landline information.
That's only there.
I think, I can get some more details on it. I think they can also do it by like GPS location of cell phones. So like every cell phone within a whatever radius of such and such address.
in the case where we only have 10 houses, so why do that?
Well, he's saying you can do it by
Well,
neighborhood. So you
yeah.
literally say you could call everyone that's clustered in a neighborhood and say it's this road, these house numbers only.
I can't really remember
It's-
how narrow you can get it. I don't know if you can do it by street or by like geographical location or.
We could ask,
That's what
but
looking into it though, and if there was a water main break on whatever road and we sent it to everybody on that road, but it only affected 5 houses, well, the guy 10 houses down is still gonna wonder what all these cars are doing or all these town trucks are doing in the street.
yeah, like we
So
would
why not notify
close,
him?
yeah.
Yeah. Even if it doesn't affect him, he's gonna see the activity.
Okay, so that's a road, but I do still think that people are gonna, the question is, why isn't it on social media? Why isn't it on the website? And it's genuinely because it ends up confusing more people than it does helping them. So I'm trying to find the sweet spot
Yeah, and I think you also have to keep in mind too, the conditions that, can come in at 2 o'clock in the morning.
Right.
But we're going to, wake people up.
Well, maybe that's why I'm sort of like, I feel like we should outline that process, like maybe it's something where whoever the supervisor is on the break sends even like a text message to me or Courtney, so that when we wake up in the morning, we know this is how many houses, this is what it is, and then we follow our process of notification. Maybe it's Deb, so I feel like we should get the people and then figure out what the parameters are, because I do think the water being discolored makes people even more nervous. I don't know why, than their water being off. So I feel like I just want to give information, but I don't want to confuse people, and that's where I'm kind of stuck. Do we know what other municipalities do?
I can ask Latham.
Okay,
They have more breaks than we do.
okay, so, all right, well, that makes me feel better.
Maybe we're not so bad.
And if it's, ask them if they end up posting about every single one, ask them what that's like. Like, do people is that good, or does it increase calls? Like, again, I like don't know what the right answer is here.
During the day, emergency during the day, Chris will send an email out and it goes to most people here at town hall who be receiving phone calls. And also to the fire department, police,
Yeah,
just so that everyone knows in case they have questions.
I think we put the bus garage on there
Plus,
too. But see, here's the thing, the bus needs the overnight ones, and in some cases, because it's like, they're headed out at 6:45 or whatever.
I know Chris calls the bus garage directly,
That's awesome. Okay.
but
In the morning.
that's in the morning.
In the
Yeah.
morning. Okay, that's good. I just want to make sure they're in the know. Especially if it's like, I mean, if it's minor, it's one thing and bus can get around it, but like if it's something like where they're closing the road or whatever, that's gonna affect them. Although it didn't this morning because they were really quick to get it fixed. I have my water back on. Why did I also have Courtney reach out? There's no reason why she can't just call a couple water and sewer departments in the area and just be like, hey, this is what we're kind of tackling. You guys think, what do you do? I guess we'll kind of go from there. Like, we don't have to reinvent the wheel. I just feel like, let's spell it out. That way, when people call and say, hey, why didn't you post this? Or why didn't you do that? Well, because we figured out this is the better way to do it. And
Or because we notified the people that it affected.
well, we always do that as the
Yeah.
whole thing. It's just,
We have to, yeah.
you
Right,
want
but I mean,
I know.
I get the curiosity and the want to know, but if we're notifying the people that it affects.
Well, the brown water thing is another thing. It's not like they would get notice for that.
And that's not very common.
No,
That's-
but it's just weird that it happened. Like, I got a phone call at 10:30 last night, someone down the street from me. I'm like,
See how much more
it was amazing. It
yeah,
was,
so-
it was crazy.
the velocity in that 6-inch pipe is so high because of that break, and that's scours the pipe and pulls out the,
Oh, that makes sense.
the
okay.
rust there, the deposits that have built up over years, and it scours it, and that's why it's safe, but it just doesn't look good.
I mean, maybe the solution is just making sure that we have a page dedicated to it on our website that's like, and then maybe we're putting a news button there when we have a break that leads to the page with the information, but we're not necessarily sending emails out. So if people go, it's there, but we're not alarming them because it probably doesn't affect them.
We have the capability of doing like a ticker on the homepage or something. So when somebody goes to this, you scroll across the top. Like background, water break at such location.
Two, just gonna stand out more. Because the news article, you can put like a picture.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's even helpful though. Maybe we just tried a couple different ways.
Try
Let's see
both,
what
see what
works. True. I mean, because we actually do have a page set up that we can use on your section of the website. So I don't know. I don't know if it should be something that goes on social media unless it affects like a large number of people. I guess I just don't want to make people, that's how misinformation
Right.
But if
gets rolling.
yeah, but if you do put something on the webpage, if they do hear about it, they can go, if they're curious, they can look on our website and tell them.
The other thing we could do is if we put it on social media, instead of putting all the details right there, we could say, there's a small water break in Niskayuna, click to see which homes are affected.
we just have to think of how we're gonna get that information from the field.
That's
Yeah.
also something we should set up. I mean, do you think that whoever's supervising would be okay with it? It doesn't have to be, I don't think it needs to be formal. I think it just needs to go out, like whether it's a text or a quick email or whatever, like these streets, these house numbers. Obviously the boil water stuff would be a lot more important and prime and more formal because of the health department, but like the groundwater, if they think, like we'll mention it if we think we need to, and then the house numbers. Do you think they would be okay with doing that?
The primary,
Is to fix the
is to
leak?
get the emergency under control.
Yeah.
Once it's under control, they're, I mean, you saw how they were running around trying to,
It was impressive.
once, it maybe after things settle down in the initial,
In the middle of the night, that's okay. Although I feel like you guys, by the time we would have gotten something online, it would have been fixed. Do you know what I mean? Like when they had slowed down, by the time they started to slow their work down, my water was back on. So I don't know what the right thing is.
person who's called the emergency, the on-call person has to assess what's going on, turn off the water,
Mhm.
also contact Big Safe in New York to get the locations on the way, and then call in a crew and shut the road down. You know, then at that point, then they might have minutes to do something.
If we can get them to be part of that process, that would be awesome.
And if it could be canned things, it could be a form to fill out. I have to look for Josh.
Oh,
If they had like a form or something that we could just fill out and then hit send.
that's would
Just
be
keep it simple.
super easy.
Because-
Yeah.
Mm.
Okay. Do you want to float that before we like say, hey, here's what you're doing and just
Yeah,
see
let
what
me
they
talk to
say?
Josh and see what's available.
Okay.
We're light years ahead of where we were 10 years ago as far as technology, but it's still being performed out in the field, so
I know.
there are limitations.
Yeah, we're talking about trying to do iPads or something. Maybe that would be.
We have 2 iPads on order, so waiting to order when Seth was so. Oh, my taking some time to get 2 iPads.
Oh, that's great.
Josh, that should.
What the other stuff that come?
Yeah, so get those as part of our mapping program. Possibly do something on there too.
Yeah.
Matt, at what point are you notified of the water break? Like if the UCC calls the on-call, notify them.
I find out when Big Safe from New York ticket goes in because I have it. See, it goes to me first, and then my email sends it out to everyone that needs it.
But I mean, if it's 2 o'clock in the morning, you're not seeing it right away.
No, but I sleep my phone right next to me, so I typically wake up and go, oh.
That's so sad.
So it's fine, and I'm not the one that's out there in the cold. So it's harder on the guys out there. But yeah, so that's when I find out, but if there's a way that if it's required for me to be more involved, I guess. Then next week,
There's gotta be a good streamlined way to do this. They might have suggestions, you know, maybe just float it by them and see what they say. Maybe somebody's got a good idea of like
Maybe
how
that's
it's
something for the other towns too.
Right, yeah, that's sort of what I'm thinking.
Just after them, they might have a great idea.
Yeah, that's good. I put a note down and have her do that too. So more to come on that, I guess. Just kind of, I feel like if we have something to look at and say, this is what we're doing, we can always change what we're doing, but at least then we have like guidance for.
utility billing, just an update on the water and sewer rate study, Telus. I know you've been working with them. I also, been working with Chris and, we did get a feedback from, Harris today.
Okay,
So she can take the billing report that she has to do. They usually spits it out as a PDF, but they showed her how to correct it, how to change the format so that she can run it again to an Excel.
oh,
It takes like an hour and a half each time you have to run it. So she's gonna run them the next couple days, and by early next week, we'll have, probably Monday, we'll have the last 3 years
to put.
in Excel.
Okay,
Yep.
that's fantastic. Okay. So that's perfect. We can move that over to the shared drive. I think also Eric sent over the information on the debt units that go on the tax bill too, because I think they were asking about that. We were sort of like, we were trying to keep all the options open, so we talked about, towns, or I should say water districts that include capital debt in their operations and maintenance. That's kind of like you pay per benefit versus the ones that do a flat tax and the benefits to that. We're not obligated to put the capital debt on the property taxes. We could wrap it up into operations and maintenance, but one of the things that stuck out was that, and this is like something you would have to talk to your tax official about, but that there's a potential to write the debt service off on your
Taxes.
income tax
Right.
if it's on that bill and it's parsed out that way, but not obviously if it's fed in to operations and maintenance, then you can't. That's like, and that's a very loose explanation, just so, so we're gonna give them all the information about what goes onto the tax bill so that they can kind of look at this as a more holistic set of expenses. So that information Eric sent over, we're gonna include that in the stuff that goes over to the Raptalis, yeah. Also, I probably should mention, we had 3 individuals who had reached out with interest in being on the stakeholder advisory group. We have only heard back from 1. We're going to put a notification out in the newsletter that goes out next week. And it's actually going to be, there's a mini version of the newsletter is going to go into your Niskuna, not next Wednesday, but the Wednesday after. So we're going to use that as a way to monthly highlight really important things that we feel like we need to point out, maybe a little bit more than just embedding it in a newsletter online. So that's going to be one of the things. The question I have though is, does it make sense if we only end up having this one individual who kind of sticks around and wants to help out with things? Does it make sense to have just an advisor? I'm not sure it does. So I don't know if we should just wait and see if we get more by the end of the month. And then if we don't, kind of abandon the idea and just kind of keep everybody posted as we go along.
I mean, I don't think it'd be very efficient to have just one person.
That's what I was
Yeah, I
thinking.
agree. I like more.
I would say if we don't have like 5 or 6 people, at least actually have
Yeah,
a committee or a group.
that's sort of what
That's
I
not
was,
really gonna
that's what I
be
was
much of a
thinking.
benefit.
We wouldn't have the interaction.
Which was sort of the whole point, and kind of like the discussion and that kind of thing. So I feel like maybe if Raftellus has some things that we kind of need to decide as a community, maybe we'll just bring them up at committee and see if we want to, or even as a group, and say, how do we want to ask this of the public or get some feedback? And we'll have to do it, I guess, a little piecemeal, but we'll see where we land.
I mean, I guess let's see what it'll be a good test to see how the ordinance works out and how much feedback and
Yeah, true.
response we get.
That's a very good point.
If we don't get enough to staff, at least 5 people on that.
That's what I was thinking.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's where we are with the rate study.
Next item is to approve the fourth quarter 2024 corporate utility warrant. Chris has the numbers complete. I'm just gonna check them one more time. Should be okay with that. And then 2229 Fairlawn Parkway, contacted by a resident that lives there. She had an issue with the sump pump, which was a water-driven sump pump, which uses drinking water as an emergency power supply to run the pump. And it was about a day and a half that the pump malfunctioned and ran and flooded her basement. So we went over and we downloaded the data off her meter. You can see that, yes, in fact, it was a short-term issue. When I spoke to her, I said, you're gonna have to pay for the water that went through the meter. But because the water that went through the sump pump didn't go into the sewer, we could do an adjustment based on that. So the bill hasn't been sent out yet, because that's not gonna be going out in April, because it actually occurred at the end of December.
So we just need to keep it on the radar to adjust for.
Yes, yeah, so Chris and I have already come up with a figure, so rather than pay 310, it's going to reduce to 207.
So are we gonna need a resolution for that, but not until after the bills are generated? So
I think so.
I think,
Or not,
Um,
no, when the warrant, when she does when they do the warrant, right?
well, the warrant would reflect this, so it would be part of the warrant. So maybe it would be included with the warrant and
Yeah,
do
I
it
think you did.
anyway?
Yeah, I think you did. I think there was,
So I don't even need a special resolution. for it.
no, I think it would just go through, yeah, it would be in that kind of like explanation.
Yeah, and so I think it's a good, compromise because they are still paying for the water and the meter, but we're not.
Yeah, 'cause we know it, did, you know,
Yeah,
if it flooded, we know
we
it's not.
Okay, let's see. Wastewater treatment plant, that's an update on the organic waste program. We're currently receiving 2 trucks a day from Giovanni, Monday through Friday.
2 trucks per day.
2 trucks per day. And then, various deliveries from the local septic haulers. Bringing grease. Majority of the material we're getting though is whey, Chobani, but the grease does help balance out the chemistry in the digester.
Okay.
Yeah, it's the fats mixing with the sugars in the whey. So,
A couple months ago it was sludge, now it's grease.
yeah. So, that seems to be going well. Bonnie has reached out to us. They want us to look at taking in, slightly thicker dairy waste, which is, it's some of the water has been removed, so it would be a thicker, more dense product. But I'd be safe, I would like to go through another, pilot with DEC. I want to continue to take in the way and then put in trucks for the thickened waste, but working with DEC and I'd be anything definite yet, but that's a goal. That gives us flexibility in the future if way were to become less available, which go to the other product and I think can handle both.
Do we know if that contract was finalized?
It's with, last time it was with Elena. She was
Okay,
going.
I didn't follow that last part of it, but I wanted to keep track of it, so.
Because I want to make sure that, the rate that we end up charging them, I think we did go with the thickened waste water. And
Gotcha.
not only the just for inflation that's gone, but also because it's a bigger product.
Right. Yeah, different. Yep.
Okay, let's. But also I'm still working with Barton and Judas as well regarding, the methane scrubber that we have, in line to, changes to it, to have it work better and to protect our, the stainless steel piping and the issues with. And I do a price from a contractor to replace that piping, but I want to hold off on doing that so we know for sure that the changes to the scrubber are effective. We're providing data to Barton and Judas so that they can work with supplier for a different type of media that goes inside of the scrubber.
Yeah, that was the thing we talked about last month, I think. too.
Yes.
Before you move on to water treatment, I just want to mention, I mentioned it in highway this morning that we are looking into ways to increase the safety on Whitmire. Based on a conversation we had with Kevin Walsh at the end of the calendar year. He had some suggestions on how we could make it a little bit better of a traffic flow with school buses and the trucks that are going in and out, but cutting back some brush. Potentially, like, I don't even want to say widening the street, but we're sort of talking about putting in a kind of gravel area so that taking the turn is easier, better, safer. So we have Ray looking into that. Obviously, it's or February, I should say. So it's probably not going to be anything that happens right away, but just leaving that on the radar so that we know to pay attention to it when spring comes.
I mean, that'd probably be a pretty quick and inexpensive remedy, right? I mean,
Yeah, I mean, I think the town owning the land makes a difference.
So much, yeah,
definitely.
it's way
if we
easier.
want to put a gravel turnaround there, we can.
Yeah.
We don't have to ask the state commission or anything.
Yeah, just basically honoring stabilizing the shoulders so that there's more room on the side of the road if needed.
Yeah, I think Kevin was great, gave us a whole list of kind of suggestions, and that was, I think, his main suggestions on there was the brush and the whitening, so
That would be right at the edge of the state park rate that we purchased.
Yeah, so there are, our deed transfer agreement says we have to keep every part of that parcel forever wild, which is the only reason that I'm suggesting maybe not paving it, because that might be a whole heck of a lot more of a project and wouldn't get done as quickly. I'm thinking that gravel we could get away with much easier.
Yeah, and gravel over time packs down.
Yeah,
And you
so,
would settle, you'd add more until, before you would even consider paving it anymore.
right, so I feel like it's a safe kind of adjustment, but I am gonna kind of, I'm gonna run, my cousin happens to work in the parks department there, so I'm just run it by him and say, you know, would you see any flags with this? I can't think that they would, because it's not, it's very easy to remedy, so I think we'd be fine, but just to dot our i's and cross our t's.
The next item, roll-off truck repairs. I crossed that off this, it ended up becoming, it was a lot cheaper than I was thinking it was going to be.
Okay,
Ended up being $1,965 is not, it only requires a believe just a supervisor.
Sign off on it.
Sign off on that, yeah. Let's see. Water treatment plant. So we today, this afternoon, we finished the replacement work on the one pump at the water district pump station over on Balltown Road. We ordered that last year. It took 4 months to get. But that was the one that was offline last night when had a water break, which caused the tower footage to drop a little bit.
dear.
So was very, once they isolated the break, then it was fine, but that's how important that pump station is. So that's why those are the pumps that were 40 years old and we wanted to replace. So we replaced the one, and I'd like to go ahead and replace the second one now, or order the second one. It's gonna be months before we get it anyway. But now that we have one new one working really well, and the old one it still works, but it's fully full.
Yeah,
So
that's
that's
finance or agenda. Does it need to be a reso?
so I have 2 quotes ready.
Great.
$34,000. $85, but the budget is something I had my capital.
Is that right around where the other one, it didn't go up much in price?
No, that's in price. To help price.
Great.
What was it, 34,000?
$34,005. Transfer station and landfill. There's been some talk about possibly having a second electronics cycling day.
I want to do a few of them, as many as we can do without killing ourselves and like, you know, for where it's not gonna cost us much money. I don't totally know how feasible it is, because I think we'd probably have to be a little stricter about finding volunteers and making sure that we have everything staffed. But I think it's a really worthy project, especially when we're talking about things like, I think these are the kinds of things that would increase mercury in groundwater, right? So that could be another thing that we're saying, look, we're paying attention to our, to the mercury, but also I think it would be a lot more convenient for people to feel like they had somewhere to, rather than the landfill, somewhere to put things.
I think we do it once a year. The turnout's incredible. I mean, we're shocked every year how many people show
Well,
up.
that's what I'm thinking.
And people always ask when the next one is. So
If it's too much, maybe we could find an outside group that could help us to put them on.
Cub Scout.
Yeah.
Boy Scouts and Girl Scouts. I guess one thing would be, we do the shredding also. The shredding costs us money, but the recycling doesn't.
We do batteries and bulbs and pay for those, then the shredding, right?
what is the shredding cost? It's not that expensive.
$600 for 3 hours. That's what it was, used to be it used to be 500 for 4 hours and then 600 for 3.
Be okay with having that once a year, or maybe twice a year, whatever, like clean out your files, that kind of thing. I feel like the electronics are more often that you have things that you're ditching. But that was the light bulbs and the batteries were the things that we got charged for from the electronics recycling event, right? So I don't know how much it would be, but maybe we could guesstimate. And then maybe however much it is, if it's like a weight or whatever, I don't know how they charge you.
Yeah, we never, a lot of that. It's just, give 5 gallon pails and one.
And how much was that? Do you know?
So,
I don't either. I feel like we could cap it and say we're willing to spend this much on recycling, and then once it's closed, we'll kind of say, you gotta, I don't know where else you bring them though, you know what I mean? You just throw them away because there's nowhere to bring them,
fluorescent bulbs.
and they'll take
I'll
them.
take them for free. It's a battery for like a tool, rechargeable battery, they'll take those as well.
Oh,
I
okay,
don't know about.
battery batteries.
alcohol
Yeah.
batteries.
How, are they any better than like the lithium or whatever else that would be, the rechargeable ones?
Which ones?
Like batteries, how bad are they for the water environment?
You're required to, that's what it's all away, it says on the side.
I would be fascinated to learn where people are using batteries.
There used to be drop-off locations, they don't exist anymore.
That's where I'm like, it's very weird, I feel like. It's
Yeah,
sort of like a weird thing.
Make direction.
No direction, yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe we'll just pick at that a little bit, but I'm totally in for for offering more of those electronics recycling events, and maybe we could see if Courtney wants to help get that coordinated too.
It'd be cool to do it as part of the farmer's market, maybe, like Saturday morning do it.
They like that.
I think that's, no, I mean, they're always looking for reasons to attract more people to the farmer's market though.
Jeter, it's not so gross.
No, it's protecting the environment, like taking out the
I
electronics.
agree.
I think
That's not a bad idea.
the farmer's market is always looking for ways to attract more people and get people here that morning.
Yeah, we're in limbo with the farmer's market because we need to figure out if we can still. It's getting too big for one, like the parking lot, we're kind of outgrowing the parking lot. And I know there's a lot of anxiety about this being technically a public road that we're going from one way into two-way. So we're kind of in limbo there. I don't have a problem floating it though, because even if we had to move it, they were asking about a couple other locations. It's not like it's there too. So I think it's a good idea. Awesome.
What are the locations?
We were.
Any places that would work for an event like this at the same time or
Yeah, I mean,
enough space?
yeah, it would be like a lot more, we would probably have much more space, but I think they talked about asking the school district if they could use the high school parking lot, because it would be a Saturday, so it's not gonna be filled necessarily, and it's usually summer, a little bit into the fall. But it has more visibility right there, because we were thinking, okay, Saturdays at all of our other town parks, that's tough in the summer.
Softball and baseball. and everything.
It's really tough. So, and even then, it would be a little hidden because all of our parks are kind of, unless it's right at Blatnick, right out in front. And maybe that's the answer. I don't know, but I don't think that they're really interested in going to Blatnick, but
My first thought was like the parking lot. for Sports,
no, that's the problem.
sports users are going.
So we're open to I think they're very open to suggestions. We were kind of just throwing around whatever we could do. I mean, we were even thinking, hey, could we get parking somewhere else and like have people, like maybe the high school let people park up there and then they could walk down, but then they were worried about, that being an issue for people who have trouble with mobility. And I don't know what the right answer is, but we kind of threw around a bunch of ideas. So more to come on that. And it might be, the answer might also be, let's just eke it out one more year until we can figure out what's going on. So that might also be what we do, but
But I think somehow, I mean, if they're okay with it, incorporating the recycling event into that.
I think
Seems,
it's love it.
yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I think it seems like an appropriate theme, right? They go together and
Drop off your curling iron and pick up a
get
bag of
suppose. I'm going for the protecting the environment theme. Taking fresh produce, protect the environment.
And I had one other thing, I had a request from one of transfer station customer about trying to find alternate places to get rid of their garbage and recycling. And I know I've already asked Lane about it, and you can't
I know.
tell anyone, you can't point anyone towards a commercial business, but what about just putting a link or two on our website, where like the county farm.
We can do
Yeah,
the
some of the
one,
municipal-
the Hatcheltown Road one, we can talk about that. We can put it out there because it's government. That's, I think, the only one.
What's Schenectady's, is that commercial?
Yeah, that's really waste.
Yeah.
So I did get, I have asked a couple of outside groups to develop some communications that they're allowed to put out there. This seems like such a bizarre thing anyway, but if that's what we have to do, like, maybe we could get that information out there that way. I asked Tommy Nicky too at the Broken Inn. I thought maybe if these outside groups could develop things, maybe he could share it, and he's got such a following, I think it would get out to a lot of people. But we have to somehow kind of extract ourselves from it, which again, it's really weird. But there's definitely options, and if you Google search transfer station, find, maybe that's what I'm saying, you would find two that are relatively close
On the landfill.
in the Colony landfill. But the Colony landfill is not, I wouldn't say is as cost effective, because even though that's government, they charge the out of county rate 'cause it's just over in Albany. So it's like, if you're in county, it's fine. If you're in town, it's even better. But if you're out of county, it's like, you gotta drive a little ways and you gotta pay a little bit more. So if it's just regular garbage or like,
Yeah, more like C&D, I would think that. I get rid of. Construction
Oh.
demolition.
they can still do that at the
Yeah.
transfer station too, though. Like, I don't think it's,
Exactly.
but yes, I think there's two that are relatively close and they're both by the same private vendor. From what I understand, just from talking with other people who have researched this, is that most of the commercial haulers that pick up your regular trash will come pick up your debris.
Mhm.
So you don't even really have to bring it anywhere. You might pay a little bit of a pickup fee, but it should be the same like cost per pound or cost per ton, however they do it. So it's worth a phone call to whoever they might be using now. Dude, they had that list at the county too was way bigger than I thought it was gonna be either. That Petroltown Road
Something
takes a
similar,
lot of stuff. Maybe we could at least put that information on our website.
Yeah, we used to have it when they did the hazardous waste, but then they stopped doing that, so pulled it off, I would say, but I put it back on just for the, in general.
It's worth it.
That's all I
It
had.
is too bad that we can't like contract with other commercial haulers. And I get why we can, but six that we can.
We were talking about Kevin Walsh. He went up and had a conversation with the county waste folks up in Clifton Park, and they were sort of echoing our sentiment of this is expensive. It's only getting more expensive.
Right.
It's good.
Yeah, he was like, I think you did make the right decision and it's never going to be as it was 10, 15, 20 years ago. It just won't ever be like that again.
Market has changed so much.
We could get half the town to use it. We'd still be paying a fortune and losing money. It's just going to be worse.
I feel like that's something that we should let our residents know, that even the large commercial haulers are struggling and seeing the price increases.
I'm sure that some news station will do a story once it closes, and so maybe we could ask for a quote from, I could ask Kevin who we spoke with over there, and maybe they could at least sort of say, hey, like,
It's not just this year, it's everybody.
I mean, the places now that I'm seeing have kept their transfer stations are places where the private haulers don't pick up at homes. And those are that's the only towns that have those open. It's almost a little unusual that we still have ours open.
Seasonal places,
Mhm.
up that or on that.
Yep.
Yeah. So I don't know. I wish it weren't so expensive, but we had a whole conversation about garbage and how it used to be so much easier.
Mhm.
Recycling used to be so much easier. And it's just not anymore. They don't want to buy our trash anymore, So. All right. Well,
Anybody
there we go.
have anything else? No? All right. Our next meeting will be Thursday, March 6th at 4:30. And with that, I'll take a motion to adjourn.
Motion.
Second,
Second.
all in favor?
Aye.
We are adjourned. Thank you.
I've never actually done this before, but here we go.
Soon, yep.
All right.